This episode of Chasing the Dollar is proudly brought to you by Sportingbet. There's no better bet than a Sportingbet.
Hello and welcome along to Chasing the Dollar, brought to you by Sportingbet. Ben Damon is my name, joined by Adam Pengilly. And Adam, it is one of the biggest nights of the year on Saturday night, the Peter Mosman final, $75,000 to the winner. And you've got something at some longer odds for us. Don't tell us just yet, but coming up later.
Yeah, I've got something at longer odds, Ben. Hopefully we can get the job done in the Peter Mosman final, but fantastic semi-finals last Saturday night. We put the mock on a couple of greyhounds. Black Magic Opal got run out of the series. We also saw Jagger Swagger and Zulu Zeus getting run out of the series as well, but I still think it's going to be an intriguing final on Saturday night, and hopefully we'll find a bit of value in the final as well.
Yeah, it is a good-looking final, that is for sure, and we'll have a look at the fixed odds market through Sportingbet in just a few moments' time. But let's get into the first leg of the quaddie at Wentworth Park on Saturday night, and here it is. It is the Propex Winners Sprint. Pretty tough one to kick them off. Yeah,
it's a tough race to start the quaddie here, Ben, on Saturday night. I'm going to make Dainty Banquet my on-top selection here, mainly on the strength of her effort at Wentworth Park a fortnight ago. She's probably not going to have to run really fast time to win this race on Saturday night. And she's well drawn out on the outside of the track, has a pretty good record from the outside alley. And if she can run anywhere near her personal best, I think she should probably be winning this race on Saturday night. Going to include Weldon Flash for second. I think he's been afforded a few favours from the box draw as well. He has run sub 30 seconds at Wentworth Park before and wasn't too far away in a heat of the Bulleye Gold Cup, so he goes in for second. I've included Emily Dawn for third. Now, she's a real speed machine drawn to advantage on the rails and looks the likely leader. Just might get found out a little bit late. And Jeremy Jett drops sharply in grade and has been running into some smart ones of late. He'll get a few favours from the draw and goes in for fourth.
Well, race 6 is over the 7:20 there at Wenny on Saturday night. It is the Stayers final, and there's some pretty good ones going around here. Some good performances going into this last week. Midnight News, well, it was a beaten favourite last start, but do you think she can bounce back?
Yeah, I'm going to go with her, Ben. I think she can bounce back. Take nothing away from Set to Shine in the heat of that series at Richmond. She was absolutely fantastic. Sat on Midnight News's hammer and just got the bob in the finish. But I think Midnight News can bounce back here on Saturday night. You've got to take into consideration in the heat of that series, it was only Midnight News's second try over the staying trip. Set to Shine's probably fractionally a little bit more hardened at the distance, but I think Midnight News can bounce back here in this final, so I'm happy to make her my on-top selection. Going to go with Freddie Smile for second. He was a few lengths slower than Midnight News in the heat of that series at Richmond, but I think he's drawn pretty well here. He'll show some dash early and punch up towards the lead and might be a chance at some odds. Going to include Set to Shine for third. Now, she can probably climb over the back of one or two of these leaders. I think she's a massive chance of hunting them down late, so I'm not going to discount her chances. And Diamond Lucy is one for your wider multiples as she hones her craft at the distance.
That takes us to race number 7. Now, this is a nice little entree to the main event, which comes up next. Some good ones going around here in the 4th grade race. Where are you going here?
Yeah, it's a really tricky race, Ben, here. I'm going to go with Tricky Jade, probably no coincidence there. I thought she was sensational in the heat and final of the Sapphire Crown Series down at Sandown. She's had a little bit of a break after that, and she ran into Xylia Allen in both heat and final of that series. Now, if you have a look at what Xylia Allen has done in the Peter Mosman Series, that form is standing up pretty well here. Got to remember that Tricky Jade has run 29.56 in her only look at Wentworth Park. That was an absolutely blistering performance. If she can run somewhere near that time, I think she's definitely the pup to beat in this race, so happy to make her my on-top selection. Now, Furley Rain is a brilliant beginner who can show early dash. He's coming back to this race after just narrowly missing a spot in the final of the Peter Mosman Series when Iona 7 and Xylia Allen swamped him late in the semi-final last week. He's definitely the big danger in my eyes, and he can atone here in a much easier race. Zipping Milo has a pretty good draw from an outside box and is not one to be discounted. He can probably scoot around the outside at the first turn. I'm just not sure he's got the measure of his kennel mate and an in-form Furley Rain here. And I'm going to throw in Resemblance for 4th. She's starting to build a nice record and might run a cheeky race from a good draw.
Okay, well, that takes us to race number 8. It is the feature event on the program. It is the Peter Mosman Classic Final, $75,000 to the winner, and there is your market through Sportingbet. Now, Xylia Allen remains the favourite, but has been a little bit easy in these early stages of betting. There's been money for the 1, Johnny Fire, which has been $4.50 into $4.25. The same for the 8, Iona 7. It has been $4.50 into $4.25 as well. But Adam, you like something at a bigger quote here. Which is it?
I'm going to go with Triggsy, Ben. I think he's absolutely tremendous overs in this final on Saturday night. Now, let's be honest, he probably hasn't been our best friend on this show over the past couple of months. Due to his racing pattern, he's always slow away from the boxes and often needs a lot of luck in his races. But I think this race pans out perfectly for him on Saturday night. If you have a look at the draw, he's got Schroeder Bale on his inside. He's going to crash towards the rails. It's a big tick there. On his outside, he's got Shadow Lane, who's another one who tends to dwell at the start. It's another big tick there. He's a greyhound who needs plenty of time in the first 30 or 40 metres to balance up and really hit top top gear, and I think this draw is going to present perfectly for him on Saturday night. If he can get some sort of run behind the leading division like he did in the semi-final last week, I think he can give them an almighty scare and run a huge race at massive odds.
All right, so there you go. Something at a bigger price for us in Triggsy. You'd think that Graham Bate with his 3, he's got a big hand again.
Yeah, he does have a big hand, Ben, with Zyla Allen and Schroeder Bale. Probably the big concern for the favourite Zyla Allen is what the kennelmate Schroeder Bale is going to do to her on her immediate outside. Schroeder Bale does tend to duck towards the rails, and that might cause her a bit of trouble from an inside draw. If she'd drawn a little bit wider out in the track, I might be a little bit more inclined to take her. But if you're a supporter of hers, and we have been over the past couple of weeks in the heat and semi-final of this series, I think you might get a better price on Saturday night at jump time. So I'd hang off that $2.90. I'll probably wait till Saturday night. If she can get around to the 320, 330 quote, or even better, then she's probably a much more worthwhile betting proposition. But at this stage, I'll be a little bit easy on Zyla Allen.
And Adam, looking at your numbers, we can see that you've got Johnny Fire as your main danger.
Yeah, I do, Ben. I think Johnny Fire is a huge chance from an inside draw in this race. How often do we see important boxers win big race finals? He's come up with the one. If he can step cleanly and rush towards the lead, he's a massive chance. In last week's semi-final, we're a little bit worried about Goldtown and T. Brady causing him some trouble in the early stages. He just absolutely blew them away, ran fast time. So he's obviously the big danger to Triggsy in my eye. Schroeder Bale's also drawn towards the inside. It's a good draw for him. If he can land on the bunny, he's a massive chance of winning this race as well. So in my eyes, I think Johnny Fire and Schroeder Bale are the massive dangers to Triggsy.
OK, well, it's time to get Adam's best bet on the program.
Going to go with race 3, number 2, Black Rip, Ben. Hawk Alone did the business for us last week in the final race on the card, saving some face, and I don't see the need to change a winning formula. Black Rip's back to 5th grade after coming close to making a Group 1 final, so he should be able to get the job done.
OK, and your value, no surprise, it's in the feature.
Yeah, no surprise. Going to go with Triggsy, Ben, in the Peter Mosman final. I think the race pans out perfectly for him. Let's cross our fingers he gets a charm run through the first turn and comes swooping late.
$15, we should get into that, do you think?
I'd take the $15 right now. I think it's a fantastic price, and it'll be shorter on Saturday night, so if you're an early punter, I'd take the fixed odds price right now.
All right, take us through the quaddie.
Going to go with Dainty Banquet from an outside draw and throw in Weldon Flash and Emily Dawn in the first leg, Ben. Midnight News, Freddie Smile and Set to Shine look the 3 to beat in the Stays final. Going to go with Tricky Jade, Furley Rain and Zipping Milo in the 4th grade race. And we'll leave the favourite out of the Peter Mosman finals. We try and trim it up. And going to take on Zyla Allen and just include Triggsy, Johnny Fire and Schroeder Bale.
All right, leaving the favourite out of the feature. You got a $15 chance. Good luck to you on Saturday night.
Oh, we might need some luck, Ben, but if you can get up, it'll be a very good night.
Most certainly. We'll talk to you next time on Chasing the Dollar.
This episode of Chasing the Dollar is proudly brought to you by Sportingbet. There's no better bet than a Sportingbet.